Well, hello everybody. This is John Felt. Welcome to the NCGA Valent Ag Weather Outlook for September 10th, 2016. When I think of fall, I usually think of a quiet time. I can actually relax a little bit as far as some of my briefings and different things like that. But it has been a very active time right up to the past week, and really looking forward. It's not all that quiet either. But here's a precipitation over the last 7 days, and you can see it was a very active type of a week over the Corn Belt, especially over the central sections. Not so much the east, not so much the west, but Minnesota, Wisconsin, parts of Iowa, Illinois, parts of Indiana, and a large part of Missouri, parts of Kansas. Areas in yellow, 2 inches of rain or more. Areas in red, 5 inches of rain or more. And like I mentioned in last week's briefing, this isn't just a one-time thing. We've been seeing this precipitation, maybe not this widespread nor this intense, but we've been seeing fairly soaking rains now week after week after week, and it just really is setting up the situation for some very wet soils. Matter of fact, the standardized precipitation index, and this is just sort of adding up the totals of precipitation. If there's more precipitation than normal, that's green, blue, and purple. Less is in yellow. And look at these little blobs here of purple. That's saying that over the last 30 days, at least 2 inches above normal precipitation has occurred in these areas. And matter of fact, it's probably more in spots than that. So we're setting a situation up for wet soils here. This is an estimate, so it's not going to perhaps align specifically with your area, but we do have soils that are wetter than normal over most of the Corn Belt. There are some exceptions. Ohio has really been lagging all season, and you can see that in crop condition. It's not nearly as good here as it is further into areas that have been receiving the rain. Parts of the far west, just spotty areas, have received a bit less as well. But these darker shades of green here, these little pockets of green, and especially the blue, very wet soils. Now, along with the heavy rain last week, we had temperatures well above normal. A lot of moisture in the air to wring out with a system that's pushed through, and we did have very warm temperatures. The areas in red are 6 degrees above normal for the week, and if you can look at that area in orange, that's 4 to 6 degrees above normal. Now we're sweeping a little bit of that out. We're sweeping it out. We're ushering in some cooler air I'll be talking about this week, and the jet stream's fairly normal, but that has pushed through a cold front, and it's going to dry things out and cool things off for a while. You can see the next 5 days here, we actually have some blue, so temperatures are going to be pleasant. They're going to cool down. It's going to be some drier air. Unfortunately, it's not going to last, but anyway, when we get the cooler, drier air, that's going to tamper down rainfall prospects to some degree. Now, having said that, it looks like it's going to be much quieter in some areas, especially Illinois and Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, and probably Minnesota as well. But it's going to still stay very active right there, and that's right in the middle part of the Corn Belt. Kansas City has really sort of been very close to ground zero from the perspective of heavy rain and storms, and it looks like it's going to be the next 7 days. Once again, very heavy rain potential for that area, but most of the region, it's going to be a quieter week this week than we saw last week. So the jet stream, as we get into the middle and starting to get into the latter part of September, I don't see any blue. Now, so you say, what does that mean? Well, this shading on these graphs can be blue or this shade of red. If it's blue, it's saying the jet stream's further south than normal. So what I'm looking at here is the jet stream further north than normal with that shade of red, and that means warmer temperatures again. So it looks like this cool spell is not going to last all that long. We're going to warm temperatures back up above normal in the 6 to 10 day range over most areas. Probably east of the Mississippi, it's going to be more near normal to a bit above normal, and then the most significantly above normal temperatures over the upper Midwest, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, perhaps Minnesota, and even parts of Iowa. Okay, now we get a little bit further out. Let's look at, we're getting towards the end of September now. Jet stream, pretty much normal. West to east jet stream. There will be some energy embedded in that. This is a type of fast-moving jet stream, so it's not necessarily a totally quiet jet stream, but it's not a very active jet stream either. There will be little pockets of energy embedded in here going through very quickly. And look at this, days 11 through 15 temperature-wise, significantly above normal. So enjoy this break if it's reached you already. It looks like it's several days of cooler and drier weather, because it looks like once that passes, we're going to go back into a week or maybe even 2 weeks of above normal temperatures. Okay, so precipitation I know is quite important this time of year. Here's week 1. Again, centered around Kansas City, but just a chance elsewhere and quieter in many areas. There will be some precipitation. There'll be a chance once that warm air pushes back in, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as heavy. Now here's week 2, and this is some concern for me in that models are again trying to keep it fairly wet over this middle part of the nation. This has been one area, not so much Minnesota. It looks like it's going to be on the dry side here in the upper Midwest, upper Corn Belt. Maybe even the far east, but right here through the central, it is showing some enhanced precipitation. Now, I know we're getting in harvest operations. I'm going to put in week 3 here as well. So week 3 right now is looking more towards the normal or even a little bit dry side. It's not showing anything. But I think this pattern that we have here in the middle part of the nation, my speculation is that has not changed yet. So I wouldn't be surprised to see us fighting this wet weather, especially over the middle part of the Corn Belt. Kansas, Missouri, smaller parts of eastern, southeast Nebraska, Iowa, maybe Minnesota, although that looks like it's quieting down, maybe Wisconsin, same thing, it looks like it's quieting down, but also Illinois, and perhaps Indiana. That area is tending wet in many areas, and I do think that this trend could continue after a break for the next 3 or 4 days. It could continue on and off as we get into the latter part of the month. So I think I've covered everything in the briefing. A cooler period, but not lasting long, then warmer again. And the central part of the Corn Belt, that's the area most likely to continue precipitation above normal. Hey, take a look at the Weather Decisions dashboard. Here's your username, NCGA, and your password. You can get to it by going to agweatheradvisor.com. And it's something I use every single day to monitor what's going on. I think you'll like it. Take a look at it. If you have any comments, send them to me. If you want something added, if you think it's useful, or any comments at all, you can always send those to me. I hope you all have a great week, and we'll be talking with you again next weekend.